Hello, everyone, and welcome to our educational session. My name is Paul Arsov, and I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web project. I'm going to talk about our project in the end of this presentation, but the topic today is peek into the human mind and its rules that we cannot escape. The topic touches on psychology and human behavior. And we're going to start with a vivid example. Imagine a man standing at a locked door, turning the key over and over, convinced that if he just keeps trying, it will somehow spring open. Each twist of the wrist yields the same result, which is nothing. Yet he persists not because he is unaware of the failure, but because of the act of turning feels like the only rule that he knows in order to succeed in opening of the door. Now imagine that same man hour later, sitting alone, replaying the moment he felt to open the door, obsessing over why he couldn't, what it means for him, spiraling deeper and deeper into self-doubt with every mental rerun. These scenes may sound like metaphors for futility, but there are also windows into something more profound, the stubborn, repetitive patterns that define both everyday stupidity and the clinical worlds of rumination and obsessive-compulsive disorder, or shortcutted OCD. David Krakauer, a complexity scientist and president of the Santa Fe Institute, offers a provocative lens on what he calls stupidity. It's not mere ignorance or lack of intellect, he argues, but a deeper flaw, the persistent use of a rule system that doesn't improve with more information and often gets worse. Think of a gambler doubling down on a losing bet, certain that the next roll will justify the last, or a policymaker clinging to a failing and futile strategy as evidence piles up against it. In Krakauer's view, stupidity isn't static, it's a dynamic trap, a loop that tightens with every turn. What is striking is how this idea echoes the mental cycles that haunt those with rumination, often tied to depression or anxiety, and the compulsive rituals of OCD. These conditions, rooted in neurobiology and psychology, differ from the casual stupidity we might mock in a friend who refuses to read the manual. Yet they share a haunting similarity, a rigid, repetitive way of thinking or acting that resists correction even when new evidence begs for a shift. To explore this overlap is to ask an unsettling question. Are we all in some way prisoners of our own flawed rules and flawed mind? Krakauer's definition of stupidity hinges on a simple but powerful idea. A rule is only as good as its ability to adapt. when it fails that test, when more data doesn't refine the approach but entrenches the error, it becomes a kind of cognitive quicksand. Picture a driver who, lost in a maze of back roads, keeps turning left because that's what worked last time, even as the GPS screams otherwise. The more turns they make, the further they drift from their destination. Now consider rumination, the hallmark of many depressive and anxious minds. It's the mental equivalent of pacing the same worn path, replaying a failure, a slight a what if, until it grooves deeper into roots. A woman might sit for hours dissecting a curt email from her boss, convinced that if she thinks about it long enough, she will uncover its true meaning or fix the gnawing dread it sparked. New information, a colic reassurance that it's not about you, doesn't break this cycle. Instead, it's folded into the loop. Maybe they're just being nice. Maybe I'm still the problem. The more she ruminates, the less clarity she finds, her mind a machine stuck on repeat. OCD offers an even starker parallel. Take a man who washes his hands obsessively, certain that only one more scrub will banish the fear of contamination. He knows logically that his hands are clean after the 10th wash or the 20th, yet the rule persists. Wash again or something terrible will happen. Each repetition doesn't soothe the anxiety, it amplifies it, as if the act of washing proves the danger is real. Here, too, more data, clean hands, a locked door, safe home doesn't dismantle the compulsion. It's Krakauer's stupidity in a microcosm, a flawed system that escalates rather than corrects. To unpack these parallels, we might borrow from a neuroscientist Carl Quaternon framework, which divides cognition into four modes: fast or slow, fluent, or empathic. Rumination often locks into slow gears, overanalyzing details, slow fluent, or replaying emotional wounds, slow empathic, without even shifting to a resolution. It's a marathon of thought that goes nowhere, like a scholar endlessly revisiting a footnote while the book is gathering dust. OCD, meanwhile, can manifest as a fast fluent ritual, a quick practice hand washing, or a slow fluent obsession like checking a lock until it feels right, even if it never does. In both cases, the mind clings to its rule, dismissing evidence that might free it. What unites this phenomena with Krakauer's stupidity is their failure to integrate, to step back, reassess, and pivot. The gambler, the ruminator, the checker, they're all trapped in a mode that promises progress but delivers stagnation. More information doesn't help. It is fuel for the fire, deepening the loop rather than breaking it. Of course, calling rumination or OCD stupid risks oversimplification. Everyday stupidity often carries a whiff of choice, willful stubbornness we can judge or laugh at. Clinical conditions, by contrast, are rarely so voluntarily. The ruminator doesn't want to dwell on that email. The person with OCD doesn't enjoy checking the stove for a dozenth time. These patterns stem from a tangled web of neurochemistry, trauma, or genetics. Dopamine misfires, serotonin shortages, or amygdala that won't quiet down. There less refusal to adapt than a desperate grasp for control in a mind that feels unmoored. This distinction matters. Where Krakauer's stupidity might describe a CEO who ignores data to push a doomed product, rumination and OCD are cries for relief, not acts of arrogance. Treatment reflects this. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, teaches patients to recognize the loop, tolerate the discomfort of breaking it, and build new rules. Medications like SSRI can quiet the brain's false alarms. These interventions aim to do what stupidity resists, force a shift. For all that differences, this phenomena, stupidity, rumination, OCD, converged on a shattered and shared truth. The human mind's loves its loops. We are creatures of habit, wired to repeat what feels familiar, even when it fails us. The gambler bets again, the ruminator rehashes again, the checker locks the door again. Each believes on some level that persistence will pay off, that the next turn of the key will work, and when it doesn't, the failure only tightens the grip of the rule. Krakauer's insight forces us to confront this tendency in ourselves. How often do we double down on a bad idea, ignoring the signs to stop? How often do we replay a moment, hoping to rewire it in our head? The clinical and the commonplace aren't so far apart. They are both stories of rigidity, of rules we cannot or will not revise. Even as the world whispers, try something else. In the end, perhaps the lesson is less about escaping the loop than recognizing it. The man at the door may never open it, but he could stop turning the key. The ruminator might never solve the email's mystery, but she could set it aside. The checker might never feel certain, but he could actually walk away. To break a flawed rule isn't easy. It's a rebellion against our own wiring. but it is where stupidity ends and something wiser begins. And with this, I'm ending this presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. And I'm coming back to the beginning of this presentation when I told you that my name is Paul Arsov and I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web project. And I like to tell you about this and several other projects that we're working on. But first, the Decentralized Web project built a decentralized communication and advertising platform. As I just mentioned, it has been monetized through advertising, and the project has its own blockchain instance, which runs Ethereum software. And by having our own blockchain instance, we do not charge our users a gas fee for the deployments of the smart contracts of the, for generating of the tokens for rewards for the users. The meaning we put for decentralization in our project is different than the meaning put by blockchain technology, and we view blockchain technology as fundamentally flawed to drive decentralization, and the way we implemented decentralization is by doing direct communication from user to user without going through a third party, namely a server or a central point which collects data from users and then it distributes this data back. Once again, we do only direct communication from user to user without going through a third party, namely a server or point collecting information from users. With this said, I like to tell you the name and the URL of the website of this project. It is decentralizedweb.org. Decentralized and web, these are two words and they are typed all together. Decentralized web. Then there is dot and it ends with org. As I mentioned, like a new user who comes to join our platform, they're rewarded with tokens. Their users on our platform, they're rewarded with tokens for inviting other users to join our platform. And users on our platform are rewarded with tokens for viewing advertising, which is very permissive. Like, for example, our users have to request starting of the viewing of advertising, and then they have to click to advance on screen after screen to view one advertising after another. And for this, they're rewarded with tokens, which is the bonus and benefit of being on our platform and being on the decentralized web. With this said, I'm ending talking about this first project. I like to tell you about the second project, which built a marketplace and collection of non-fungible tokens. And what is unique, special about this project is that the non-fungible tokens or NFTs are based on three-dimensional objects. With three-dimensional objects, there has to be special software which reads the 3D object and then it displays the 3D object. And usually creators of 3D objects, they use software like game engines, like for example there are two popular choices of game engines. One is called Unity and the other one is called Unreal. But from the very beginning of our project, we decided to build our own 3D software engine. And what it does, it reads the file of the 3D object, then it opens a window on a computer screen. It displays the 3D object in a window that it did open, and then it starts animating the 3D NFT in a way of moving it in a random fashion around the window it did open. But in addition to these initial and basic capabilities of the 3D NFT, there are multiple additional capabilities. The first additional capability is the capability of the 3D NFTs having a voice and speaking. Currently, we have choices of 3 different voices: a male voice, a female voice, or a whisper kind of a voice. In addition to the 3 basic voices, there are 3 different flavors of voices. A voice can be spoken either in a normal speed fashion, or in a fast speed fashion, or in a slow speed fashion. The next additional and important capability of our 3D NFTs is the capability of voice recognition. The 3D NFTs can recognize voice commands, and like for example, if you have a 3D NFT being animated in a window and moving in a random fashion, then you can issue your very first voice command to the 3D NFT to stop moving, and then the 3D NFT is going to stand still and stop moving. Then you can issue following voice commands to the 3D NFTs to move left, move right, move up, move down, zoom in, zoom out, rotate. And then the 3D NFT is going to fulfill each one of these separate voice commands. The next additional important capability of our 3D NFTs is the capability of them having a basic artificial intelligence. Wow, really? Wow. You can ask the 3D NFT, who are you? And then the 3D NFT is going to reply in few sentences of who they are. You can ask the 3D NFT, what is your name? And then the 3D NFT is going to reply with their name. You can ask the 3D NFT to describe something, like for example, describe Web3 or describe decentralization or describe Russia. And then the 3D NFT is going to describe in few sentences about Web3 or decentralization or the country called Russia. The last additional but not least important capability of our 3D NFTs is the capability of them being displayed in a way of stereoscopics. What stereoscopics means is that a part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in red or reddish colors, and another part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in blue or cyan colors. Then you can come to the website of our 3D NFT marketplace, and now is the time to tell you the name and the URL of this website. It is 3dnft.decentralizedweb.org. 3D-NFT is typed in a way of the number 3 followed by the letter D followed by 3 other letters N, F, T, and it is typed all together 3D NFT. Then there is dot, then there are 2 words, decentralized and web, and they are typed all together, decentralized web. Then there is dot and it ends with org. Once again, 3dnft.decentralizedweb.org. On the top of the main page and every other page, you can see number of links one of these links point to links to accessories. You can click on this link and you're going to see that we're offering special glasses. When you click and order one pair of these glasses, and when you receive these glasses, you're going to see that one lens of these glasses is red and the other lens of these glasses is blue cyan. And when you put these glasses on and request displaying of the 3D NFTs in a way of stereoscopics, then you're going to see the 3D NFT as coming out of the flat two-dimensional computer screen, and you're going to see it in real 3 dimensions. With this said, I'm ending talking about our 3D NFTs software engine, and I like to mention something about our 3D NFT marketplace. In our 3D NFT marketplace, we have our own blockchain instance, and it runs Ethereum software, and it is the same software which runs on Ethereum mainnet, it runs on Binance Smart Chain, it runs on Polygon Matic Chain, and it runs on Avalanche Avax Chain, and it runs on many other famous or not so famous blockchains in existence. By having our own blockchain instance, then we do not charge our users for gas fees for the deployment of the smart contracts of the non-fungible tokens, and we do not charge our users gas fees for transactions of transfer of ownership from one user to another user. But by having our own blockchain instance, also we allow our users to buy and receive proceedings from sale in multiple crypto coins. Currently, the choice of crypto coins include Solana Sol, Polygon Matic, Avalanche Avax, and Qcoin, which is a big centralized crypto exchange. They have a coin called KCS. But in addition to buying and selling in crypto, we have a second parallel and independent way of buying and selling 3D NFTs, and it is done entirely in fiat currency. For example, if you're a user and you come to our 3D NFT marketplace, you browse through the collection, you click on one 3D NFT that you like to purchase, then you're going to come to a drop-down menu which gives you 4 choices of buying with crypto and a 5th choice of buying and paying with fiat currency. So let's say you select paying with fiat currency, click the button to advance next, and you are going to be presented with a screen where you have to put the number of your debit card or credit card, expiration date, CVC, and when you click on the button to complete this transaction, what is going to happen is there is going to be a transaction and conversion from your national fiat currency, which could be different than US dollar, and the payment is going to be deposited in our bank account in US dollars. Then we're going to follow this with a transaction and transfer of the initial ownership from our 3D NFT marketplace to you, and now you become owner of this 3D NFT. Let's say you decide to play with this 3D NFT for a while, and then you decide to put the 3D NFT for sale. You decide on the price that you want to put for sale, and let's say there's a second user who comes to our 3D NFT marketplace, they browse through the collection of the 3D NFTs, and they click and like in particular 3D NFT that you put for sale. What is going to then to happen is the second user is going to go through the same choices of paying with crypto or the fifth choice of paying with fiat currency. So let's say they select payment with fiat currency. On the next screen, they put the number of their debit or credit card, expiration date, CVC. They click on the button to complete the payment, and then there is going to be a transaction and conversion from their national fiat currency, which could be different than your national fiat currency and different than US dollar. And the payment is going to be converted to US dollars and deposited in our bank account. Then we are going to follow with a transfer and transaction transaction and transfer of ownership from you to the second user, and now the second user becomes owner of this 3D NFT. Then we are going to follow this with a transaction and transfer and conversion from our bank account, and conversion of the payment of the purchase of the 3D NFT is going to be converted to your national fiat currency, and it is going to be deposited in your bank account. With this said, I'm ending talking about this second project. I'd like to tell you about the third project that we did release, and this third project is building charging products for the growing number of electric vehicles. Currently, the electric vehicles are charged in a way of the owner of electric vehicle, either charging this at their house, if they have a house and like a garage and a parking lot where they could put a charger and charge their vehicle, or the owners of electric vehicles, they are going to charging stations which are modeled like after the way of gas stations where internal combustion engine vehicles are coming. They are connecting a fuel hose to their vehicle. They start loading fuel, they pay for the fuel, and then they leave. But we estimate that the number of these charging stations for electric vehicles is going to become ultimately insufficient to handle the exponential growing number of electric vehicles in the market. To handle this exponential growing number, we propose a way where the owners of electric vehicles which live in high-rise residential buildings. These high-rise residential buildings are outfitted with a ground floor parking lot or multiple underground floors of parking lot. Then this residential building could mount the type of products that we're building, and the owners of electric vehicles, when they come to their home at the residential building, they could identify themselves to the charger, like the one which we're building with their debit card, their credit card, their near field communication card or near-field communication keychain token or near-field communication ring that they could be wearing, and they could connect electric cable to their vehicle at the parking lot of their home and in this residential building, and they could request start of charging electric energy to their electric vehicle, and they could leave their vehicle to charge during the evening, during the night, and early morning while they're at home. But with this set number of owners of electric vehicles, they may be working in high-rise office buildings, and these high-rise office buildings could be outfitted in the same way with the kind of products that we're building. And when the owner of this electric vehicle comes in the morning for work in this high-rise office building, they could connect electric cable to their electric vehicle in the parking lot of this office building. They could identify themselves to the charger with their debit card, credit card, or near-field communication card, or near-field communication keychain token, or near-field communication ring that they're wearing, and they could leave their vehicle to charge during the morning, during the afternoon, and early evening while they're at work. With this set, I like to tell you the name and the URL of the website of this project. It is power.rstack.com. Power is the ordinary word for power, then there is dot, then there is a word which I can spell it letter by letter. It is Alpha, Romeo, Sierra, Tom, Echo, Charlie, Hotel, altogether rstack. Then there is dot and it ends with com. Once again, power.rstack.com. On the main page, you can see one article that we placed, which is titled Gas Station Model versus the Parking Lot Model. And the article describes in very, very big details about the type of products that we're building, its capabilities, and its features, and like the type of product could help not only directly owners of electric vehicles, but it could help electric transmission providing companies and electric utility providers as well. Like at every moment, the amount of generating energy generated by the electric utility and distributed to consumers and users could at every moment should match the amount aggregated and consumed from consumers and users. If there is some disbalance of this generated versus consumed energy, what could happen is either a waste of resources if more energy was generated compared with the energy consumed, or if less energy was generated than requested to be consumed, the electric utility or the electric distribution and transmission partner, they have to turn off a certain neighborhood certain cities or certain regions or entire countries to prevent them and come back to balance the consumed with generated energy. With this said, I'm ending. I like also to mention that we did release 3 different surveys that the user, could fill. And one of these surveys is about hardware, the other one is about software, and the third one is about the features of charging products. And by filling these surveys, you can tell us about your needs so that we could customize an existing product to fit your needs, or we can build another product to fit your needs. With this said, I'm going to the next project that we are building, and we did release recently. And this project built artificial intelligence agents. And in our project, there are 2 artificial intelligence agents entities, and each of these AI entities is outfitted with their own gender, their own avatar, their own voice to speak, their own large language model, and their own initial prompt. And for example, if you have these 2 entities, we could give a gender, a female gender, to the first AI entity. We can give it a female voice, you can give it female avatar, and we can give it its own large language model and initial prompt, like to be very seductive. And for the second AI entity, we could give this AI entity the male gender, male voice, male avatar, its own large language model, and giving it a prompt to be very angry. And then you, the user, could request starting of this interaction, and you're going to observe the female AI entity trying to seduce the male AI entity, and then the male AI entity responding in an angry fashion to the female AI entity, and this interaction is going to go back and forth between the female AI entity and the male AI entity. Then at some point you can stop this interaction, and you have a choice to save this interaction for your viewing, your own viewing, and you have also a choice to share the parameters of this interaction on our 3D NFT website with other users, so the other users could type the parameters of this interaction, and then observe a similar but not exactly the same interaction, because large language models have think against repetition, and they are going to have some other interaction, but not the like an identical similar interaction as the one we just witnessed and saw. With this said, I like to tell you the name and the URL of the website of this project. It is ai2ai.decentralizedweb.org. AI to AI, I can spell it letter by letter. It is A, then there is letter I, then there is the number 2, then there are 2 other letters, A and I, and it is typed all together AI to AI. And then there's dot, and then there are two words, decentralized and web, and they're typed all together, decentralized web. Then there's dot, and it ends with org. Once again, AI to AI dot decentralizedweb.org. With this said, I like to mention the last two projects that they're not yet released, but we are working on. And one of these projects is automation agents, which, for example, if you are on your laptop, like typing something and requesting something, like, for example, buying a ticket for a concert or buying an airplane ticket for a flight to a specific destination at a specific day and time, or buying a food item from a number of stores with a preference to a specific food store. Then you could request to our automation agent that the interaction is starting. Then the automation agent is going to record each one of these action, like going through like one website, doing a search for specific food item, for example, then going to the next food store and browsing for this specific food item and comparing the prices, then going to the final action of like confirming and purchasing this food item and having this food item delivered to your home at a specific day and time. Then you can type ending of this interaction, and you can put a label of this interaction, like buying of this specific food item from this a number of food stores. Well, with this said, I like to mention also another project that we are working on, and this second AI related project is counting the number of tokens that you, the user, is spending when you go through large language models one after another. With this, said, I like to tell you that we did not yet release this project, and we are going to build website and release this specific two additional projects that are still in development. And with this said, I'm ending this presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening, and goodbye.